Okay, welcome to the AutoCAD session. What we have discussed yesterday is, or on Friday is, sorry, on Thursday is the basics of AutoCAD and how AutoCAD is useful to anyone who wants to learn and the advantages of AutoCAD. That's what we've discussed on the first session. And also we've covered some basic commands of AutoCAD, like how to get started, how to open a file, and how to set up a project. Such things we've discussed in AutoCAD. So these are the basic things we've discussed in AutoCAD, like what is a GUI and how to control your displays and how to set up a file and how to set up units. Such topics we've discussed in the first time. So a quick introduction. AutoCAD is from ages like in 1982. It's founded by a person called John Walker, and AutoCAD is a gold standard of the industry. It is used across all the platforms, right from mechanical engineers to civil engineers to even a gold shop person who designs his jewelry. He can also use AutoCAD for his design purposes. It's just a drafting tool which has multiple advantages because of its user-friendly interface, first of all. Second thing is, it has not changed drastically since it's been introduced. Like if you see AutoCAD versions of 2002 or 2003 also, it's similar to recent versions. They may have added certain like a few here and there options, but it remained constant and it is easy to learn and adopt. So this is what, when you open AutoCAD, this is what it looks like. You can see many menus in this AutoCAD interface. Like in the top right corner, you have your application menu or application button. After that, you have your quick access toolbar from where you can browse your file or you can download your file or you can print your file. Such things can be done over here. And here is your info bar in which you have your license related options. And this is the main area of AutoCAD from where we have to select the tools, whatever we want to draw. Either we want to draw a line or a polygon or a circle, whatever it is, we have to select over here. And then here we have tabs similar to our browser where we can access the, like say if you're opening 10 to 15 files at once and you want to move your files or open the particular file, we can browse it over here or open it over here. And this whole area is called as ribbon. So any drawing tool or modifying tool which you are going to use in AutoCAD will be present in this ribbon area. Earlier, as I've said in previous class, until 2004 or 2005, you did not have this option to choose your tool. You have to always enter manually the command. Like if you're drawing line, say, you have to press L, enter. That will be displayed over here in the command line or palette. So whatever the command we are pressing, right, will be displayed over there in the command palette. And nowadays, you don't have to remember command. Like if you are not remembering any command, you can go to that particular tool which you want to use and press that tool. You can easily draw. And this is what you call your drawing area. Whatever you draw here will be in your drawing, right? And this will be your navigation bar from where you have to access, like if you want to pan or zoom into your drawing, you can access in the navigation bar. VFQ is generally used for 3D in AutoCAD, which we are not going to cover in our syllabus. So whenever you are drawing something in 3D and want to see how that thing looks in 3D, you have to access it via VFQ. So this is what your interface looks like when you open AutoCAD. So we have seen certain minimum, like bare minimum tools, like how to zoom in and zoom out, and how to pan, and how to redraw or region. Region is nothing but imagine it as a refresh in AutoCAD. Like when your computer strike, you'll press manually refresh, like say right click refresh, right? Refresh is not present in AutoCAD, so we use a command called region, which helps us to refresh in AutoCAD. What happens is, why when do you decide where you have to refresh in AutoCAD is, this is your circle, like normal circle, but sometimes your circle will be displayed like this in AutoCAD. When you are working for continuously or the file size is very big, sometimes the circle will looks like this or in a deformed shape. So then you have to press RE, that is region. Then your circle will appear normal after that. We've seen how to open new file, how to save, and all the other stuff. And also the most important thing is we have seen how to set units. That is press UN. Yeah, if you have to set the units for a project, you have to press UN and then enter. So it is the first thing and most important thing when you open a project. The units are described by the factor which in which the industry is working. Like if you're working in architecture, you have to always select. We'll see that in the project. If you are working in architecture side, you have to press architectural units. If you are working in say manufacturing, you have to go for decimal. And if you're having any other discipline, there are three or four disciplines available in units. According to your discipline, you have to set the units. These are the commands we've seen how to draw. I'll just brief in the commands also in the project, like how to draw line, circle, arc, polygon, rectangle. So until this keys, we have ended the first session. We've seen how to use the function keys in order to generate certain commands, like F1 and F2 may not be that much useful, but from F3 to F4, you have to remember. And F5, F6, it's not useful because we are not going to draw anything in 3D. And then remember F7, F8. So F7 is for grids, whichever like I'll show in the project. F7 is for grids, and F8 is for ortho. Ortho is if you are trying to draw a straight line in AutoCAD, you can draw with whenever F7 is on, F8 is on. If your ortho is off, you can actually give any angle to your straight line. That's the purpose of ortho. And all these other commands, you have to always switch on. Try to turn on this. You've seen what snap is, right, in the first class. And also, the polar tracking is also similar to snap, which shows where our point is and how, for example, if it is a circle, right, if you want to have a center of the circle, you have to always switch on this polar tracking so that you'll know what is the center of the circle, or whenever you're having a diameter or a radius of the circle, all the points will be notified when you turn on this polar tracking by pressing F10. So all these ortho, snap, and polar tracking can be accessed via our DS, that is draft settings, in which you have to actually switch on everything so that it will be useful when you draw the drawing. These are these function keys. This is what we have covered yesterday, or the first class. So today, before entering the session, I just wanted to have a recap of whatever we have studied until like in our childhood or in our say 10th or intermediate. Anyone know what projection is? With by seeing this picture, can anyone tell what a projection is? Everyone can see the picture, right? So here, a person is trying to observe a object and how the object is going to be represented in a plane. So what is a plane? Anything that has two axes. One is x-axis, the other one is y-axis, is called a plane. So if this person is observing this object, this has to be converted to 2D in order to project in a plane. So just imagine you are in a cinema theater. You don't see a 3D object, right, in a film theater. You always see a 2D image. That image is a reflection of this given object in a screen. Okay, so if a person is weaving in a straight line, just imagine this is a straight line, and this is an object. This may have like a taper. Even though it has a taper, when he is seeing in this direction and he wants to project it, this is how this projection looks. This plane, whichever what is plane? Plane is something which has both the axes. Just imagine plane as a sheet of paper. In this plane of projection, whatever he is weaving, whatever the object he is weaving, should be converted to 2D, right? Just try to remember this thing. These are basics of any drafting, not only AutoCAD. These are basics of any drafting. And then there are 4 planes of projection. If you have drawn graphs in your childhood, you might remember there are 4 quadrants in a graph. You are taking this as your horizontal axis. You are taking this as your vertical axis. And then we have 4 planes of quadrants, and we have to always try to move in anti-clock direction. Okay, this is your first quadrant, your second quadrant, third quadrant, and your fourth quadrant, right? So these are very important when you try to project your object and you have to generate a view with respect to that object. Okay, just try to remember these are 4 quadrants: first, second, and third and fourth quadrants available for our drawing or our graphs. And now just try to imagine this object, how this object will look when you're looking from the top. Like this is an object. When you look from the top, right, you have only T. You cannot see all these other shapes. They'll be submerged, a kind of submerged, because they don't have you can see, but this will not be highlighted when you see from the top. And when you see from this side, right, this part will be highlighted and this will be like visible, but not that much. Okay. When you look from front, if you see from front projection, only this part will be highlighted. This will be visible, but just as you move from away from this, the focus of this object, it will not be highlighted. So these are your faces and views, and these are called your views. As per when you see something, it has mostly 3 views: top view, front view, and any side view. This is right side view, and this left side view. These are like if you're from engineering background, you might be familiar with these concepts. These are called views. So the next thing is there are angles of projections. From where you are placing an object and from where you are looking will determine our outcome. Just imagine you are placing your object over here. This is called as first angle projection. And if you are placing your object over here, that will be called as third angle projection. Just remember, in India, we follow first angle projection. If you are working on a US based project, you will be working in a third angle projection. The difference is the top view will be always present in the bottom, and the right side will always be present in the left side. I'm not going explaining this in the deep because it will take a lot of time. Just try to remember your top view in the first angle projection will be in the bottom, and your right side view will always be in the left side. Just try to remember that. That will be in the first angle projection. Like this is an object. If you are having a front view like this, your front view like this, right? When you draw front view, your top, if you are seeing top view, it will be always in the bottom. And if you are viewing your right side view, it will be always in your left side of this front view. Just try to remember this thing. It is called as first angle projection. We almost use first angle projection in India, except if you are dealing under the US based project where they use this third angle projection. Clear? Any doubts in this? Anyone? Okay. So today we have we can discuss multiple tools. Yeah, tell me.
So on the first quadrant, it is first angle projection.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. For India, we are using it.
Yeah. This will not be available because, like, say, I am having my front view in the bottom, right? Top view in the bottom, and right side view in the left side. Because we have to always move these quadrants in a say anti-clockwise. Okay. So if you are projecting here, what happens is both the top view and both the left angle view will be in the same quadrant. So it's not possible to draw in second and fourth quadrants. But in India and UK and all other countries, we use first quadrant, which is first angle projection. Only in US and certain countries, they use third angle projection. That is their way of
during third angle projection, is there any change in the?
Yeah. Here also, what happens is in third angle projection, front view will be like this, top view will be in the top. Okay, and right side will be in the right side. That will be only change. So the same image, what happens is when you draw a top view, here we have drawn top view in the bottom, right? In the third angle projection, top view will be drawn in the top. And the right side view we have drawn in the left side, right? In the third angle projection, the right side will be in the right side. That is the only difference. No other change.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, no problem. So the next thing is we have to see certain tools over here. We'll see that in the AutoCAD. Let me minimize and let me open AutoCAD. So I hope most of you have downloaded the software and try to install. If not, please try to install the software within like 1 or 2 days, so that will be useful for you when you practice. Try to practice. So this will be our basic user interface whenever we open AutoCAD. And now, if you want to open a new file, you have to click Start Drawing. So you will be greeted with a new file. Here, first thing what we have to do is you have to always press U and enter, which is shortcut for units. And then you have to decide what your units you are going to use. Like if you are using, or if you are from mechanical background, you have to select decimal or engineering. Mostly decimal, go for decimal, because most of the mechanical drawings, the lengthwise, what they do is they'll not draw heavy drawings, which are in say architecture plans. So in architecture plans, it will be like as big as a construction is. If you're drawing a mall, say if the mall is for say 20 meters or 30 meters, the plan will be of that height, of that width. But in most of this mechanical objects, whatever the objects you are using, like nuts, bolts, or any manufacturing parts, whatever the true dimension is there, right? We will take as much as the true dimension and set to that dimension. So we'll use this decimal for mechanical projects. We'll use architecture for architectural projects. As per that, the units will also be changed, because most of the mechanical projects will work in either meters or millimeters. If it is a precision manufacturing, we'll obviously use millimeters. So just for this reference project, I'll just choose architecture. And the precision is, we have drawn, say, let's say 5 feet. And after 5 feet, how much precise you want to end? Like if you want to draw 5 feet 5 inches, right? You have to take this 0 feet and 0 inches. If you want to draw, say, 5 feet 5 inches and 0.5 inches, 5.5 inches, then you have to select this precision. If you want to select like the precision goes down, normally this is fine. If you want to even add some more depth, you can choose this precision level. But if you're using, say, in engineering, or if you're using mechanical or any other fields of engineering, you have to always go for the precision to 0.00. This is a minimum precision you want to take. Okay, I'll just go for architecture. This is enough for me for my precision. After that, okay, we have chosen. Now we have seen in the home tab, we have seen these commands. Let me revise. If you want to draw a line, just enter line or enter L enter. Okay, you have your line command. You have to always give your first point, which is your first click. And then you have to draw wherever you want. Here you can see angle is there, right? Now, if I switch on or off F8, which is ortho, you can see the line movement. If I switch off again, you can see line can travel in any direction. If I switch on ortho, it will travel in only X or Y direction. That is the use of ortho command. Now, after I've given first point, I have to mention my dimension length. Say I want to have a line of 10 feet. You have to enter 10 and just enter the feet symbol. You have your line of 10 feet. Okay. You can draw a line like this. What if you want a line with continuation? I'll just draw a line like this. And if I draw a line like this line is not dependent to this line. All right. If I want to select everything at once, it's not possible. Then in that case, we have to select polyline, which is collection of lines or multiple lines you can draw at one go, like this. If I select, it will be selecting everything, which is a definition of polyline, right? That's what polyline is. And then we have seen our circles. Different types of circles are there. A simple circle is you have to select, give your first point, and you have to give your dimension of your radius. Right? That's what your first point. If you know your dimension of your diameter, you can give your diameter. There are multiple other ways, but mostly we use this ways. Same goes for art. You can give your first, if you have to switch off your ortho, give your first point, give your second point. As soon as you give your 2 points, you can have your third point. You can draw anywhere and your arc will be formed via that method. These are the three main drawing tools we use. The fourth one is rectangle. This is a simple rectangle. Instead of drawing the line 4 times, F8, you can actually draw only once. That is with the help of rectangle, which is shortcut of REC. That is rectangle. You can give your length and width. It will form a rectangle. One more tool is we can draw ellipse also. So this is mainly for precision manufacturing, as I've said. You can select ellipse or draw ellipse with 3 options. With the first option, what you have to do is you have to click anywhere, wherever you want ellipse. And then for the major axis, you have to give your distance. Let's say my major axis is of 5 feet, enter. And then for the minor axis again, you have to, so once you have given your major axis in X direction, you have to give your minor axis in Y direction, say it's 3 feet. What happens if your major axis is also equal to your minor axis in an ellipse? Anyone? It will become a circle.
Circle.
Yeah, circle. So if your major axis is equal to your minor axis, it will become a circle. So we have seen the first option, how to draw center. And then second option is also similar. You have to give your first point, and then you have to give your second point, end point of your axis. Then you have to choose your minor axis, or as per your requirement. Both are similar, but the small difference is you have to give second point before drawing. That's why that's how you have to draw your ellipse with an axis. The third point is elliptical arc. Here you don't have an ellipse beforehand, but you have to draw manually. Let's see. I am giving major axis of 10 feet, and then I'm giving minor axis of 6 feet. After that, I have to place anywhere. I have to point anywhere. Like I want to draw my ellipse from this point. You have to give your third click. After that only your ellipse will be drawn. Until where you want your ellipse to be drawn. So this is for partial ellipse. Whenever you want you want ellipse at a partial place, like you don't want your ellipse to be fully. For that application, we are using that particular tool. Okay. Any doubts until now? Okay. Now, one of the major concepts we have to draw after setting the units is this will be only used when you know your total dimension of your paper, like how much you want to print. Like if your drawing is say 15 mm, you know you'll not extend 20 mm, then only you have to set your limits for your project. So what limits is, this is an unlimited number of boxes. You can see when I scroll here, the boxes are grids. If I switch off this F7, it will be gone. If I switch on again, you have your grids. Grids are for reference. Whenever you print your drawing, this will not be visible. These are like, you might have drawn in graph paper, right? These are like grids in graph paper, but these are imaginary or reference. As soon as I switch F7, this will be gone. So here, these are unlimited. As I said yesterday on the first class, you have zoomed in somewhere and you want to go to your base point, that is 0, 0. All you have to do is press Z, enter, and A, enter. You will be in your base point. Base point, always remember, base point in AutoCAD is 0, 0. That is where X and Y meet. This is your first quadrant, as I've said. This will be here. That's the base point, and that will be always 0, 0. Wherever you are, whenever you're scrolling or you're lost somewhere, you have to reach to that base point, press Z, enter, A, enter. You will be to that base point. Okay, now if you want to set the limits to our units are in architecture, right? You want to set your whole project to say 10 feet by 10 feet. That is what your maximum depth or dimensions of your design. Then press limits, LIM. That's the shortcut. Enter. These are first points. So you have to always give your first point as 0, 0. That is your base point, wherever you're starting. And then you have to give your upper limits. We have thought of upper limits of 10 feet, right? 10 feet, enter. So that will be your upper limits. So you can draw until 10 feet. So after that, if you try to draw also, the system will not allow. But usually we don't recommend setting limits because we might not know until where our project goes. We can actually adjust these things after you draw. Just set the units, and then without limits also you can adjust, because anyway we are not going to print in this model space. Where do we print? We do always print in layout. Here you can see layout, right? This is called as paper space. So whatever we draw in model space, let me just draw L enter some line over here. Sorry, right? Something like this. I can see that line. Here it's not visible because I did not set the scale, but normally when you set the scale here, it's there. Right? So when we go to that scale concept, I'll explain what scale is. Here you can see that line is visible in this paper space. So we have to print the model in the paper space, whatever we draw, right? It is possible to convert either in PDF, or you can actually print in DWG format, or directly you can send to your printer. These things are always possible in the what we call it as a paper space. Okay, just try to remember there is an option called limits. It may not be useful for larger projects, but if your space is confined, or if you want to remember yourself, like this is what my dimension is, this is until where I have to draw, then only you have to set the limits. Okay. So we have some other basic tools also. Let's see individually what are the other tools. We have seen line, polyline, arc, and rectangle and all. Now let's see, let's dig deeper into and see what are the other tools are there. If I click this draw button, we have some other tools, like first thing is spline fit. Okay, we have seen polyline. Then what is this spline? Click on this spline. Some people call it spline, but its pronunciation is spline. I have to give my first point, and then I'll just switch off F8, that is ortho. As I move my cursor, there is an uninterrupted curve line. Wherever I move, or whatever the shape I want to move, I just end it whenever I see. You can see a green box right here. That green box is called as our snap. So that indicates that we have our first point and end point together, and then click on that. Just try to escape. Escape will you'll just get out of that command. So please don't try to escape. Sorry, don't try to use the escape command. Click on that, then enter. Enter command. So you have your shape. So this thing is not possible with our R command. You can try to draw R command, right? It will be stopped only with one arc. You cannot say have this complex geometry. So for such instances, we are like, say, if you are drawing a stencil, if you are having a stencil and try to follow that stencil, or if you are having a human face or something like that, a weird geometry, you want to follow that geometry. For such cases, we are going to use this spline command. I have to select this spline command, hit first point wherever you want, and then try to draw the arc. Like, you can give multiple points also, like this. Any points. You can just like a pen in our hands or pencil in our hands. You can trace anything, you can draw anything. And then finally, once you're done, you have to close it. After closing, you have to press enter. That will be your spline. Okay. With the advantage of spline is, for example, you want to move something over here. Like in this place, if you want to move, you can actually click on this point and you can move it. Like if I want to move something over here, click on that. If you move your cursor to that point, okay, click on that point and you can drag, or you can just simply, with the move of your cursor, just move it anywhere. And if anyone has used, I just wanted to say one thing. If anyone has used this Revit, the center button that is called as crosshair, okay? If you want to increase or decrease the size of that crosshair, you have to always go to this application menu, go to options, right? In the options, you can have this crosshair, how much like thick you want to have this crosshair. You can actually change the dimension of your crosshair in the application menu. So this is for your convenience. If you feel smaller crosshair is okay for you, it's okay. If you want to increase the size of your crosshair, you have to go to this application menu, go to options. In the options, okay, you have your, in the display settings, you have your crosshair. Okay. And okay, we'll discuss that later. Here, someone has asked, right? We were discussing on the first day. What happens when you lose your file, or what happens when you did not try to have a backup of your file? So first thing is I have to save my file first time. When I am saving, right? I don't have to. Whenever I'm saving for the first time, I should not click this. Whenever I'm saving for the first time, you have to always go to the save as option, save as drawing, and wherever you want to place, just give your name and save. After the first time, and you have drawn something like this, after you're saving your file, just press Ctrl S. That will be saved. You have to save your drawing for continuously, let's say 10 minutes or 15 minutes when you worked on your file, you have to save. Why? Because you may have power interruptions or you may have some unexpected errors in AutoCAD. Your file will be closed or your whole AutoCAD will be closed. So whatever the work you have done will be lost. So please try to save the file as many times as possible. Whenever you have done some important work, just press Ctrl S. When after you have saved your file as save as, okay? There is one more option also. In order to automate this process, or you don't have to save Ctrl S multiple times, then you have to go to this application menu, go to options. Here in the open and save tab, you can save option. There is an option called automatic save, and there is a time limit also, minutes before save, right? If you give 10 minutes or if you want to give 5 minutes, so the file will be, there will be a backup file for every 5 minutes. So what happens is like AutoCAD, this file number, this file name, like say x.1. And then after 5 minutes, what happens is this x.1 will be replaced by x.1 again. The same file will be there, but it has a backup. Okay, that file will have all the additional changes, whatever we do, that will serve as backup. So for every 5 minutes, you have a backup file. It will not consume any extra memory because the previously saved backup file will be erased and this backup file will be there. So that is an advantage of having an automatic save. So you'll benefit immensely when when your file is corrupt or you have power issues or you have application issues. In that cases, we have to use this backup option. So let's move on. So we have seen what spline is. Now we have, let's see what spline CV is. We have seen what spline fit is. Now let's see what spline CV is. Again, let me draw somewhere. And now let's have a second click. Let's have multiple clicks like this. And click on the last point, hit enter. Now the major difference you can see over here is, yes, we have spline. I just try to draw this one also side by side. The major difference here is, if I click on this thing, only the curve will be displayed. But if you want to modify the curve, you can modify with the points. But here, if you want to modify this curve, right, you'll have to modify with the help of the nodes. These are the nodes. With the help of these nodes only, we can modify the curve. And the amount or the maximum amount with which you can modify is much higher than the normal spline. Okay, the precision with which you can modify when you are using this spline is much more than this actual spline, this option. So this is used when you have to modify the spline with much more accuracy. Just remember that. Why? Because as if I go on this spline command, you can see draw a spline with control vertices, which means this has much more control than this actual this spline option. Okay, just try to remember that. We can draw a spline with these both commands, but with this command, we have much more control. If you want to control your spline even after drawing, you have to use this spline CD. The next option is construction line. This is majorly used for architects or people who are having large drawings. Okay, so for them, what happens is they have say big project. They have some image over here. Let's say they have your front elevation over here or floor plan over here. Seeing on that floor plan, they have to redraw front elevation. Okay, just let's see. Let me draw a rectangle, something like this. So I have a rectangle. This is my floor plan. Based on my floor plan, I have to draw a elevation. What happens is, so the things we have to take from floor plan is this is the width. Let's say whatever the width is, right, that will be our front elevation. The width will not be changed in floor plan or in our flat elevation. For such cases, we have to have some reference lines. So this construction line acts as a reference line because this is a unlimited line. It doesn't have any limits, and it will not be printed in the drawing also. Okay. So here, this is an example of our Z enter E enter. I just quickly press Z enter E enter. You'll have your, wherever you're left, you'll have your that place. So the use of the construction line is these are your grid lines or just reference lines, which is unlimited and also used for a reference whenever we are drawing large projects. Are you this is also useful in small projects. You want your reference line, and this will not be confused because this is a big line. Say for example, if your project is having huge number of lines and you don't want to be confused with other lines, then we use this construction line, which is a big line and it will not end in both directions. There is a similar line, the equivalent of construction line, that is called as ray. Ray is something just like our arrow. You can point it any direction, give an angle, it will be there. But the difference between ray and construction line is from the point we have given, the ray will follow. That will not be in opposite direction. This is also an unlimited line. It will go until the end of the like AutoCAD. We cannot see where it ends. This is also for reference. So the difference between ray and construction line is construction line has both the points x and like both the points will be there. It will be continuous. But the difference, the ray is has only one point, and you have to mention that point. From that point, you have your ray like this. There will be no other side for ray. And the same, like if you want to delete something, press that option and press delete in your keyboard. Or you can erase also. Normally, it's easy for us to press, select and delete instead of typing one more command. What I normally do is, if I want to delete something, select that, delete. And we've discussed on first class, right? I'll just go to REC once again, since they are newers. If I want to repeat the same command again, I have drawn this rectangle. I'll just show one more time. REC enter. I've drawn this command. If I want to repeat the same command again, I have to press spacebar. So that command will be repeated multiple times until you select another command. Whatever command we have made, that will be repeated once you press spacebar. Now you can click anywhere in AutoCAD, and if you drag your mouse like this, you have two types of selections. One is green, the other one is blue. So the difference between green and blue selection is, if I want to select any particular element, like if I want to select this only this rectangle, just drag like this, only green will be selected, which means that object should be completely under that selection. But if I am selecting from left side, no matter how much the option selected, like you can see the bottom rectangle, it's touching only a minor part, but still it will be selected. So if I want to select everything, like you can select with your green of selection. But if I want to select some particular options, you can select like this. And there is a lasso option also. Just click anywhere and try to drag like this. This is called lasso. You can select that particular rectangle like that. If I want to select everything, or like say, if I want to select everything in this area, I click and drag in the left side. So we have everything. If you want to select some particular options or particular drawings, or particular drawing, give you a right click and drag something like this. Even though it touches all the other rectangles, they are not fully touched, so they'll not be selected. So that's the use of selection, left selection and right selection. Okay, we have seen what array is, and then let's see what multiple points are. Multiple points are, let's say, points. When you want to measure or give a point to a particular thing, these are point, right? Something like this. These points can be used for reference. Like if you want to draw a line like this, you can connect these two dots like that. These are just like points. These points can be used for many things. If you want to draw a line between 2 points, or if you want to cut in between anything, or have a reference, like if you want to have that point as a reference, you can have. One more thing is, if you want to select multiple items, just select multiple items without pressing any key. Okay, then you can after selecting everything, you can delete. So that's what multiple points is. This is not much of a use, just has points, that's it. The next is divide. So okay, let's draw a line. This line is of okay. I'll enter. Let's say this is my line. Okay, I want to divide this line into 3 parts or 4 parts. Just press DI V. That is your divide command. Press this. It asks number of parts you want to divide. Let's say I just wanted to divide it into 5 parts. As soon as you enter, it will be divided into 5 parts. You can see that over here like this. You have your multiple parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you give exact dimension on each and like how much space should be there between each and every part, it will be dividing on that likely. So let's say we have a circle, something like this, and I want to divide this circle. Same, you can go to this draw. You can have your divide from here, or div is a shortcut. Number of segments you want to divide. Let's say I want to divide the circle into 6 parts. You can have this division. So like this. So there is a division, and this circle is divided into 6 parts. Like that, you can actually divide. So I think someone is having connection issues. If you're having connection issues, sorry, I cannot do unfortunately anything. You can have your recording sessions, but please make sure that you'll join a session on time and have a proper internet connection, because it will be a disruption for you and all the others as well. Okay. Anyone has any doubts in this divide command? All the new joiners today. Any doubts in the divide command? Can I continue?
Karthik.
Yeah.
Couple of doubts. One is, what is the use of XY00 coordinate if we can draw from anywhere in the first quadrant?
use of XY is it's a reference, where like say you have drawn something over here, okay, and if you want to draw like if you want to print this thing, it should have a reference, right, sir? You cannot just simply print like this. Since we are not printing in the drawing area, we have to print in the layout area. So for
Okay.
layout, yeah.
So this then that leads to the second question. What is my screen dimension if that is the case? Because every time we zoom in or zoom out and the figure becomes either big or small. So how do I
Yeah.
decide what is my grid size?
So that's what I said. You have to set it via limits, LIM. Okay. So you have to decide whether your project is of 10 feet or 20 feet or 30 feet, whatever your dimensions is. You can set your dimensions with limits.
And that
Okay.
will become my screen ka limit.
Yeah. Yes. Limit of your screen.
Okay. And
So
second, yeah.
yeah, you cannot draw beyond that if you set the limits.
Okay. Then the curve that you drew, which was called spline CV.
Yeah.
If I move it, does it mean that the area contained inside the curve will remain the same in a spline CV?
No, area will be moved according to the design dimensions, right? Let me draw quickly like this. So if I click enter, the area will be changed, right, according to your dimensions.
No, this is not spline CV. Where was spline CV?
Spline CV, you're asking, okay. Yeah. You can see area is changing, right, sir?
Okay.
Area is changing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Clear? So
Yeah.
now,
We'll go ahead.
now let's see one more point, that is measure which we have in the dimension. So there are two types of dimensions. You can measure dimension with two options. One is temporary dimension, the other one is permanent dimension. So if I draw some line over here, and if I measure the dimension with the help of this dimension tool, it will be staying with the drawing itself. That's called permanent dimension. But no, I just wanted to have a quick say check. You can check this dimension with the like this. Press enter. Whatever your dimension is, it will be present. So it's not visible. Let's take one more file. So you can say I've set units. It's in architecture. Let me go to one more drawing. UN decimal millimeters. Okay, let's set it meters. Precision is like this. Z enter, A enter. So wherever we are, it will be dragging to our coordinates. So this will help us to guide our to our coordinates so that will not be missed. So this part, why I'm stressing is, whenever you try to print your drawing, you should be as much as near to this coordinates so that that part will be displayed in our layout. If that is not displayed, you have to again adjust this box. You have to move your box accordingly. So instead of that, to avoid that, we normally draw as much as closer to this red and blue line, which are our axis. Okay. So let me just go enter. Right. This is of line of 1000 mm. So we were discussing permanent dimension. If I click on this line, we have your dimension of 1000 mm. And if I want to, like say, have this dimension of this line, but I just wanted temporary dimension. Click on that object, whichever object you want to measure. First line, second line, enter. So it's 1 second, please. So it's 1 second, please. So okay, it's not for normal measurements. It's for blocks which we will see in the further classes. You can actually measure this lengths of actual lines or blocks. So what are blocks is we can draw anything like this, or let's say this is a shape. Okay, this is a shape, and this shape is repeating multiple times in our project, like say 100 times or 10 times, and this shape will be, we will be using this shape for a repeated number of projects. So instead of drawing the same thing multiple times, what we do is we will create this as a block, so that wherever we have this requirement of placing that particular block, we'll just open wherever, from wherever we have saved, and we can just place that multiple times, so that it'll save us from repeating doing the same work multiple times. So in order to measure in such cases, or places where you need measurement which is pre-installed, you can use that measure command. So there are other commands also. We have drawn something. What if we want to modify those drawn things? In such cases, we are going to use this modify commands. So let's see in each and every modify command that is there. So I'll just draw a line like this. The line is of 1000 mm, say. So if I want to move this line from this place to this place, I can just click this move or MO. Okay, that is a shortcut. Click on that option, give your first point, give your second point. Since I have switched on the F8, that is ortho, this is moving in one direction. If I switch off that ortho, you can see that line can be copied anywhere. So again, I'll repeat. If you want to move anything in AutoCAD, you can just click this move command, give your first point from where you have to move. And then you can drag on, or you can just drive your cursor to that point. Like say, if you want to place over here, you can move it. If you want to copy the same thing, just press CO, that is a shortcut, or you can select your copy over here, whichever is fast. So I'm not saying you have to always use your shortcut. If you find selection from your cursor is easy, you can actually select. If you find copying or pressing your command is easy, you can press. So I'll give my first point, and then I'll give my, if I switch on ortho, I can move in one direction. If I switch off ortho, I can move in any direction. Likewise, you can copy. So one more thing is, like, let me draw one line like this. Okay, we know what polyline is. Okay, but I have an object like this, but these are different. But I want everything to be joined. What I can do is, with left selection, you can select everything. You have to press J, enter. That is join. Now it will be treated as one entity. Okay, you can see, right? Instead of going to polyline, or you have drawn somewhere something, and instead of taking polyline, you have drawn line. If you want to convert to that as a polyline, you have to press J, enter. I'll just show once again. I've drawn a line, something like this. Okay, this is not a polyline. So these are individual entities. If I want to join every individual entity to one entity, I'll just press J, that is join, enter. And what if I want to say again, make this as an individual entity? So these are like combined entity. This is forming an object. I don't want this as a combined entity, and I want this to be split as an individual element. Then I can select the element and this press EXPLODE, explode. If you click explode, it will be again made into individual elements. So again, this one also I'll see. I want to explode, or I want to make this again as an individual entities. These are joined. I want to again make this as individual entities. Press explode. It will be again made as individual entities. Okay. So the next thing is, I want to stretch this line. Let's say this line is of some dimension. I want to stretch. The simplest option is you have start point, midpoint, and end point, right? You can just select on any ends and drag it. If I switch on F8, you can see, right? You can give the newest dimension. Let's say you have your before dimension is 2000, you can give a new dimension. It will be stretched to that point. Okay, this is for lines and circles. What if you want, like, say this is a separate entity. I'll just try to move it over here. If you want to stretch this thing, is it possible? Let's see. Stretch it. Give your first point. You can see I can stretch in one direction only. What if you want to stretch the whole object? Then I have to go for scale. I'll just give my first point. You can see I can stretch as a factor of scale. Like, say if I want to stretch it twice the size of the actual size, press enter to enter. So I have twice the size of the actual object. Let me remind it. Retell it. So this is an object, and I want to stretch the object in all the directions, like say 2 times the size of the same object. I'll just go for stretch scale option, select my first base point from where I have to stretch or scale. After the selection, you have to give your scale factor. So let me give 2 as my scale factor, which means the object will be multiplied in size twice. Okay, that's the use of scale. Scale can be used in AutoCAD. I mean, if you are trying to import your drawing, and if you want to match the dimensions of that particular drawing to our units, then also you can use scale. We'll see in further classes why this is useful and where this is useful, the scale command. The next is mirror command. So this is one of the simpler commands. Like if I have a dimension like this and drawing one more line like this and like this, what I can do is I can simply try to mirror it. For mirror, I have to give my axis point. This is the first point, and let me say I'll switch on ortho, and this is my axis point. Upon this axis, I want to mirror. The most important thing over here is whether you have to always specify whether you want to keep your source object or not. If you press no, your source will be there. If you press yes, this part will be deleted. Let's see once again. Let's see, I'll just draw a line like this, and I'll just give an arc, 3-point arc, first point, second point, and third point, 3-point arc. And I want to have a mirror image of this particular shape. I'll just go for mirror, give your first point, and give your, just quickly switch on ortho, give your second point. Now, if I click yes, what happens is the source will be gone. Only the mirror image will be there. Okay, that's the use of mirror. So the advantage of mirror is you have to create only one side. If you are having 2 sides with similar features or similar shape, we can have the dimensions or the shape of the first side and then automatically repeat it to the other side. It will be mirror. Okay. So one more command is rotate. Just draw one like this. So what if I want to rotate this object? Let me just join this, J enter. What if I want to rotate this object? I can just go for this rotate command, pick your center line or center point of this object, and you can give your angle or reference point. So I'll just try to give angle, let's say 30 degrees angle. So it will be rotated as per the angle, whichever angle we give. So that's the use of rotate command. The next is extend command. So let me just draw a line like this. Extend is similar to our stretch. With the extend command, we can extend an object, but I'll just try to brief it with more example. Let's say we have a line like this, line like this. So Here we can see these are two lines in perpendicular direction, but we want this line to be touched with this line. We want this extension of this line to be touched with this line. We can drag and drop to this line, but instead of that, I can select this extend command, view the first line. As soon as I go to this line, it will automatically join to this line. Again, if I go to this line, it will be joined. So now what we have is we have extra line, extra protrusion other than this line. I want this line also to end to this point. What I can do is I can just simply drag and drop over here, but no, I don't want that. I want this part to be gone. I can just go simply to trim. Click on that given line. So any extra is there, that will be gone. So that is a use of trim. So that's the use of your trim command. I'll just try to explain once again. You have your multiple lines like this. Like this. So if you want to get rid of this extra lines, right, you can select this trim option. Wherever you want to delete, you just go on to that particular line, it will be gone. Like this. In some cases, like this. Some cases, we have drawn a line, and what we want is we just wanted to join this line. You can just go to this extend. As soon as you go to that line, right, it will be extended to our particular perpendicular line, to that line. So this is what our trim and extend is. So we have one more option called chamfer and fillet. Okay, so anyone knows the difference between chamfer and fillet? You can answer. Anyone knows the difference between chamfer and fillet? I'll just, yeah.
Chamfer is an angle.
Yeah, and fillet is?
Fillet is, I think, a contour.
Okay, I'll just try to explain. I'll just show an image, and I hope you guys understand what this image represents. Okay, I'll just try to drag here like this. So you can see if both x and y directions are perpendicular, everyone can see the image, right? And they are perpendicular to each other, and the edge, right? It's sharp. If it is sharp, it's called edge. You can see there is x and y. At the point they meet, that is not sharp. That is with an angle, right? If you give an angle to that edge, it's called chamfer. If that is not an angle and it is given a curvature, a radius of curvature, that is called as fillet. I'll just try to draw something over here. Like say here, I'll draw a line. Effect, a switch of effect, right? Just go to PR. Okay. So here we have these both directions, and the edge, the point there where these two lines meet, it's sharp, right? It's called edge. But here, these two lines, when they meet, we are giving a taper. The taper is of it has a angle, and it is also a straight line. That is called as a chamfer. But let me delete this thing. Now, if the point where these two lines meet, if it is having a curvature, that is called fillet. Let's see how we give a fillet. So first of all, we have to select the fillet. Then we have to press this radius option. What is the radius of our curvature? Let's say our radius is of 100 mm. Click enter, click the first line, give your second line. You can see we have a curvature. We have an arc. That arc is connecting this line and this line. That is called fillet. So normally, just imagine you have a sharp object like a chair or a furniture, something like that. So if our edge is sharp, right, we can have accidentally you can press that area, and we may have injuries for machine tools and day-to-day equipments. So instead of having sharp edges, we'll provide these fillets for our. You might have seen like every day-to-day object like sofas and all, we have fillets. Why? In order to avoid injuries and all the stuff like that, we mostly avoid this edges. But having fillet is difficult because it takes a lot of manufacturing step. So in less complex areas, what they do is instead of machining it and giving it an angle, which is a difficult process, what they do is they'll just cut this part, which the parts which is not important are what the parts that doesn't have human interface. What they do is they'll just cut this part. That is called as chamfer. I hope I've given considerable explanation, right? So if you are having a sharp edge, you may have certain like human injuries or something like that, and it is not also aesthetical, not pleasing. Instead of that, they'll give fillet. Wherever human interaction will be there, or wherever they want to avoid injury or stuff like that, they will provide fillet. But in some cases, that is not required, or no human is going to enter there, or there is no possibility of like human injuries. They'll just try to cut the both ends. That is called as chamfer. This is especially seen in machining parts. When you machine a part, mostly they'll provide chamfer instead of fillet. That saves a lot of their machining capacities. Okay, that's what a fillet is. We can draw fillet with multiple options, or there are multiple ways to draw fillet. You can just give polyline, which means you can after polyline you have to give radius. Here I'll just give let's say 150 mm. So it's not polyline. That is why it is not showing, right? First of all, if you want to have a polyline, I'll just press F5. It's like this. Make this go. So each and everything is of individual element. I'll just press J, enter. Now let me try this fillet polyline. Now let me give a radius of 150 mm. So as soon as I press any one particular instance, you can see fillet is applied throughout the whole juncture. So that is an advantage of polyline. So what are the other options are there? Just try to go to fillet. Fillet. You can see radius trim. Trim is also there. What happens is if you give trim is, let me just draw a line like this. You can apply fillet here also. Fillet, trim. You can see it is trimming the extended line as well as it's giving us fillet. In such cases, we have to use this fillet and trim. So if you are having multiple, in this case, what we have done is we have joined everything. Now let me unjoin it. And then we are having multiple fillets to have them. For that cases, I'll just go to fillet, select multiple, give radius. 150 mm is there automatically. You can just select multiple options. That command will be there. It will not be gone. Instead of like drawing once and then pressing spacebar or going to select the command once again, if you select multiple, it will be there for the command will be there. We can select multiple lines. The fillet will be applied for all the lines. Okay. Now one more command I just wanted to cover is I have a particular element and I want that element to be repeated n number of times, both in X and Y direction. Instead of copying that element, I just wanted the same element with one click. I want, say, I just drawn a shape with one click. I want that shape to be 10 times. Instead of copying, I can do it with one more command that is called array. Here we have array, right? First, let me draw a shape. Something like this over here. Now I want this shape to be repeated in X and Y directions, okay? What I'll do is I'll just go for array, rectangular array. You have to first select an object, press enter. After that enter, you can see array will be formed for that given shape. So the number and the space you can determine via this tab. You can see the columns here are there 4. If you want 3 columns, you can press 3 and enter. You'll have 3 columns. If you want to say 5 columns, it's 5 and enter. You have 5 columns. In this direction also, if you want 3, you can give 3. If you want 5, it will be repeated. And the most important point is it will be extended as per this base. Okay, this is our base. The base point. If you want to adjust the base point or like say make this as a base point, select the base and give this as a base point. And now this will be your base. And any moment or anything you change will be as per this base point. So normally we suggest don't try to change the base point because what after you're drawn, it will be very difficult once you change the base point. So it's not recommended to change the base point after you have drawn. Okay. So this is what your array is for rectangular. For example, let me draw a circle. Let's see how you can multiply this. The same, go to array, rectangular array. You can see X and Y direction, we have multiple. Same element is repeated multiple times. What if I want to have less distance between these 2 points? Here it's 2920. Let's see. What if we type 2000? You can see the direction in this direction, the distance is reduced. Next direction, if you want to reduce the Y direction also, you can just reduce the direction distance. Say if you want to increase also, you can increase. Same for this direction, X and Y direction. You can change that size and shape. I mean distance. Okay. And one more thing is, if I change, I just hit enter, everything will be selected. If I select one circle, everything will be selected. Why? Because it is called associative. Associative means based on this one particular object, we have created all the objects. So they will be always dependent on this object. Okay, they will be always in group also. So in order to change or in order to move, in order to copy, if you select one element, everything will be selected. Okay, if you don't want that, select on this array again. Okay, you have to go for edit source. Then click on this array, any object, whichever your source is, can just select that, delete that, it will be gone. Okay, let me repeat that. I'll just try to draw a circle first, like this. So this is what our actual shape is. If I want to delete that particular shape, I want to draw one more shape. Just try to draw a shape like this. Whatever your new shape will be there, right? That will be repeated because that is your base point. Sorry. Just try to save changes. Once you save it, you have your new array. So I'll just try to repeat what we have done. So I'm drawing a shape. And then what I've done is I've tried to array rectangular or horizontal array. You can just try to have an array. And it is associative. Associative means if you change the dimension or change the properties of one block or one object, everything that is dependent on that will change. Close an array. Let's say how it changes. So if you want to, like this is our source, right? Instead of circle, I want, let's say, have a square. You have to go for edit source. So this is a source. Click on that source. Hit OK. Then if you want to change the shape or dimension or anything, let's say I want to increase the size of the circle. Click on any point, try to drag, click enter, and then save changes. So you have your dimension of your circle changed. Okay, that is the beauty of this array. No, for example, no, I don't want this association. I just want each and every element of its own. So for further cases, if I want to change, it will be easy for me to change. Let me draw a rectangle first here. So in that case, what I have to do is just try to have an array. After you draw your array and you are satisfied with your columns and rows, just switch off this associative. Center. Now you can see each and element, individual element is of its own, which means if you change this element, the change will not have occur to any other elements. So that is what associative is. So this option you have to use whenever you have done repeating your command and you want every element to be independent of its own and not dependent of any other element. Then only we have to switch off that associative option. Okay, clear? I think those are the modified tools, and if at all anything we have left, we can cover in the further classes. Let me just try to stop the recording over here.